Hello, guys. Our names are Isabela Carreño, Gabriela Castañeda, and Laura Casallas, and today we're going to present one of the modes of entry in international business, which is manufacturing contracts.
One common way companies expand into international markets without major investment is through contract manufacturing. This is when a company, let's call it contracting firms, hires a third-party manufacturer in another country to produce goods on its behalf. This model allows firms to scale production, reduce costs, and focus on branding and marketing while someone else handles manufacturing. The involved parties are, from one side, contracting firm, brand owner, the company that owns the product design, branding, and distribution rights, for example Nike or Apple, and from another side, contract manufacturer supplier, the external company responsible for producing the goods according to the contract firm's specifications. According to chapters 14 and 15 of Daniels 2021, contract manufacturing can take different forms depending on the level of control and involvement a company wants in the production process. Some firms provide detailed specifications and only outsource assemble, while others rely on manufacturer to handle both design and production. The choice depends on factors like cost, expertise, and speed to the market. The three main types of contract manufacturing are: first, original equipment manufacturer. The manufacturer produces goods based on the contracting firm's design but doesn't know the own of the brand. For example, Apple outsourcing iPhone production to Foxconn. In the second, original design manufacturer, the manufacturer designs and produces the product, allowing the contracting firm to sell it under its brand, common in electronics and private label products. And in the third, component manufacturer, the manufacturer produces specific parts or components, for example, semiconductor or chips used in smartphones and computers. This classification aligns with the strategic decision-making process that firms undergo when selecting an entry mode for international expansion. Companies choose this model when they want to reduce costs because labor and materials are cheaper in some countries, or when they need to scale production quickly. For example, contract manufacturers can ramp up or down demand, or when they lack manufacturing expertise because specialty factories often have better technology and processes, or when they want to avoid foreign investment risk because no need to buy facilities or manage foreign subsidiaries. As you know, Nike is the most recognizable brand in the world, yet it doesn't own a single factory. Instead of investing in sound production facilities, Nike uses contract manufacturing to produce its footwear and apparel. This strategy allows the company to focus on what it does best: design, branding, and marketing, while outsourcing manufacturing to specialized partners. By partnering with manufacturers in countries like China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Nike benefits from lower production costs, skilled labor, and scalability. This enables the company to quickly adjust production levels based on the market demand, keeping operation length and cost efficient. But however, contract manufacturers come with challenge. Nike has faced criticisms over labor conditions on the supplier factories, leading to reputational risk and increased scrutiny. But additionally, relying on external partners means Nike must closely monitor quality control and manage potential supply chain disruption, especially during global crises like the COVID-19 pandemic. But at the end of the day, Nike's success with contract manufacturing shows how business can leverage outsourcing to achieve global scale. However, it also highlights the importance of ethical sourcing, quality management, and supply chain resilience in ensuring long-term success. But in conclusion, contract manufacturing is more than just cost-saving measure. It is a strategic tool for global expansion and operational agility. It enables companies to penetrate new markets rapidly while maintaining financial flexibility, as they don't invest heavily in production facilities. But this model allows firms to respond swiftly to market demand fluctuations, scaling production up or down based on consumer trends and economic conditions. But however, its effectiveness depends on how well a company manages its external partnerships. Unlike fully owned subsidiaries contracts, manufacturing introduces layer of depends on third parties, making supplier reliability, legal frameworks, and ethical compliance critical factors for success. But a mismanagement supply chain can lead to reputational damage, regulatory issues, or disruptions that affect market performance. In the long term, companies must balance cost efficiency with brand integrity. While contract manufacturing provides access to skilled labor and lower production expenses, it also requires robust oversight and strategic alignment with partners. Businesses that view contract manufacturing as an integrated component of their global strategy rather than just an outsourcing solution will be better positioning for a sustainable success.
Now we're going to continue with the kind of industries that usually use this mode to entry to other markets. First, we have large scale manufacturing, whose primary competitive advantage is efficiency and low cost. Then we have high labor intensity production in product and service, such as garment manufacturing and call centers. Then we have uniform customer needs and standardized technologies and processes in production and other value chain activities, such as automobiles and machine parts production. Then establish products with predictable patterns of sales, such as companies for consumer electronics. And now information intensity, whose functions or activities can be easily transmitted through the internet, such as accounting, billing, and payroll. These kind of enterprises use this because they found really attractive, really easy, and really low cost to use this kind of contracts to just send the information to another enterprise who are going to send them back with the entire information, and then outputs that are easily codified and transmitted over the internet or by the telephone, such as software preparation, technical support, and customer service. Usually, as the call centers, usually there's a lot of brands that don't want to do this kind of works because these kind of jobs are not the main activity for the enterprises, so they just pay to other enterprises to do these kind of things.
Contract manufacturing is becoming increasingly popular in international business as companies seek to take advantage of cost saving, access new markets, and increase production capacity. However, this strategy is not without its drawbacks. First, we're going to start with the advantage. The first advantage we have is cost savings. Companies save on their capital costs because they do not have to pay for a facility and the equipment needed for production. They can also save on labor costs such as wages, training, and benefits. Then we have the mutual benefit to contract side. A contract between the manufacturer and the company it is producing for may last several years, so the manufacturer will know that it will have a steady flow of business at least until the contract expires. Then we have the advanced skills. Companies can take advantage of skills that they may not possess, but the contract manufacturer does. So the contract manufacturer is likely to have relationships formed with raw material suppliers or methods of efficiency with their production. Then we have the quality. Uh, the contract manufacturers are likely to have their own methods of quality control in place that help them to detect counterfeit or damaged materials early. Focus, we have that companies can focus on their core competences better if they can hand off base production to an outside company. And last, we have the economics of scale that contract manufacturers have multiple customers that they produce for. Because they are servicing multiple customers, they can offer reduced costs in acquiring raw materials by benefiting from economics of scale. The more units there are in one shipment, the less expensive the price per unit will be. For the disadvantage, first we have the lack of control. That is when a company signs a contract allowing another company to produce their product, they lose a significant amount of control over that product. Then we have the relationships. It is imperative that the company forms a good relationship with its contract manufacturer. The company must keep in mind that the manufacturer has other customers and they cannot force them to produce their product before competitors. Most companies mitigate these risks by working cohesively with the manufacturer and awarding good performance with additional business. Then we have the quality risks. When entering into a contract, companies must make sure that the manufacturer's standards are congruent with their own. They should evaluate the methods in which they test products to make sure they are of good quality. The company has to ensure the contract manufacturer has suppliers that also meet these standards. Then we have the intellectual property risk. When entering into a contract, a company is divulging their formulas or technologies. This is why it is important that a company not give out any of its core competences to contract manufacturers. It is very easy for an employee to download such information from a computer and steal it. The recent increase in intellectual property laws has corporate and government officials struggling to improve security. Uh, Then we have the outsourcing risk. Although outsourcing to low-cost countries has become very popular, it does bring along risks such as language barriers, cultural differences, and long lead times. Capacity constraints. If a company does not make up a large portion of the contract manufacturers' businesses, they may find that they are deprioritized over other companies during high production periods. They may not obtain the product they need when they need it. And last, we have the loss of flexibility. Without direct control over the manufacturing facility, the company will lose some of its ability to respond to disruptions in the supply chain. It may also hurt their ability to respond to demand fluctuation, risking their customer service levels.
A real life example for this entry mode is a brand who offered themselves to the public as a globally leading contract development and manufacturing organization. They produce pharmaceutical ingredients and finished products as an integrated supplier. Cypred supplies 200 of the 1,500 FDA-approved active pharmaceutical ingredients and serve 500 clients worldwide, with products reaching 1 billion people each year. Additionally, it has contributed to the production of 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. The company specializes in providing ingredients, filling vials, and assembling medication rather than manufacturing final pharmaceutical products. But as I told you before, they helped a lot to other known brands to produce doses of COVID-19 vaccines, because in 2020, um, the most of the enterprises who build or who create those vaccines didn't have the the production or the capacity to make that much of vaccines, making it a clear example of manufacturing contract. Instead of selling its own medicines, Zyfed acts as an external manufacturer for pharmaceutical companies that prefer to outsource production, and its growth has been remarkable, with a 15% increase in revenue and a 34.1% rise in net profits year over year. It's really curious because we don't know the name of this brand really well, but we do know a lot of known brands that sell products that this brand actually produce. Thank you for watching our presentation.